The aging cargo vessel Lucky Star drifted through the Artemis sector's shipping lanes, its hull bearing the scars of 2 decades of faithful service. In the captain's quarters, Sarah Chen studied the latest maintenance report with a mix of pride and concern. The ship's diagnostic system, a patchwork of salvaged parts and creative engineering, painted a familiar picture of controlled chaos. "Captain to engineering," she called through the ship's communications system, which crackled with its signature static. "Talk to me about the containment field fluctuations, Maya." Chief Engineer Maya Rodriguez's voice came through, accompanied by the ever-present hum of the Lucky Star's unique power core. "It's actually good news for once, Cap. Those modifications we made last month, they're working better than expected. The core's efficiency is up 12%. Sarah raised an eyebrow. In 15 years of commanding the Lucky Star, she'd learned that better than expected often meant weird but workable. Her ship had developed a reputation throughout the United Earth Fleet for being unconventional, to put it politely. Most modern vessels wouldn't tolerate the kind of improvised solutions that kept the Lucky Star running, but Sarah had always believed there was strength in adaptation. "Define better than expected," she replied, making her way to the bridge. The corridor lights flickered in their usual pattern, 3 quick pulses followed by a steady glow. The crew had long since stopped trying to fix this quirk, instead using it as a reliable navigation aid during emergency power situations. Maya's enthusiasm was evident in her response. "The containment field isn't just holding the core's energy. It's harmonizing with it. I've never seen anything like it. It's like the field and the core are learning from each other." Sarah stepped onto the bridge, nodding to her first officer, James Tucker, who was studying long-range sensor data. The bridge, like the rest of the ship, reflected the Lucky Star's nature. Modern holographic displays sat alongside vintage analog gauges. The helm station's controls were a hybrid of standard fleet interfaces and custom modifications. "New contact," announced Zara Piddle from the sensor station. "Celestial-class liner coming up on our port side. They're hailing us." There was a slight edge in her voice that Sarah recognized. The Lucky Star's appearance often drew unwanted attention from newer, sleeker vessels. "Put them through," Sarah ordered, settling into her captain's chair. The holographic display flickered to life, revealing the immaculate bridge of the liner and its impeccably uniformed captain. "Lucky Star, this is Captain Reynolds of the Celestial Dream." The man's voice carried the polished tone of corporate command. "Our sensors indicate some unusual energy signatures from your vessel. Are you experiencing difficulties with your systems?" Before Sarah could respond, a new alert sounded from the sensor station. "Captain." Zora's voice was tense. "Long-range sensors are picking up something strange. Multiple signatures, unlike anything in our database." The Celestial Dream's captain continued, oblivious to the developing situation. "We can dispatch a modern maintenance vessel if you require assistance. Those old cargo haulers can be quite temperamental." His image disappeared in a burst of static as space itself seemed to tear open at the edge of the system. Massive ships emerged from the void, their designs defying conventional human engineering principles. They moved with an organic fluidity that made them appear more like deep space creatures than vessels. "Multiple unknown contacts," Zara reported, her training keeping her voice steady. 15, no, 20 ships. Energy readings are off the charts. The Lucky Star's aging sensors struggled to process the data, causing displays to flicker and alarms to sound in conflicting patterns. But in engineering, Maya noticed something extraordinary. The ship's core was responding to the presence of the alien vessels, its energy patterns shifting in ways that shouldn't have been possible. "Captain," Maya's voice cut through the chaos. "Whatever these ships are, they're affecting our core. The containment field is adapting, creating new energy patterns I've never seen before. It's like the ship is preparing for something." Sarah watched as the alien vessels moved with predatory grace toward the shipping lanes. The Celestial Dream was already turning to flee, its engines flaring bright against the void. But the Lucky Star's captain felt a strange calm settle over her. For years, people had mocked her ship as outdated, dangerous, and weird. Now, as humanity faced its first contact with an obviously advanced alien civilization, Sarah Chen wondered if being weird might just be exactly what they needed. "All hands to battle stations," she ordered, surprising even herself. "Maya, keep monitoring those core changes. Zara, get me everything you can on those ships. James, plot us an intercept course." "Captain." James turned in his chair, confusion evident on his face. "We're a cargo hauler. We should be running." Sarah smiled, her hand resting on the worn arm of her captain's chair. "We're the Lucky Star, James. We've never done what we should do. We do what we need to do." As the alien fleet approached and the celestial dream fled, the Lucky Star moved forward, its patchwork systems humming with unexpected purpose. Sarah Chen didn't know it yet, but her years of defending her ship's peculiarities were about to be vindicated in ways no one could have predicted. The Lucky Star was about to prove that sometimes the best weapons are the ones that evolution and necessity build together, one jury-rigged solution at a time. The alien vessels moved with liquid grace across the starfield, their hulls rippling with patterns of light that seemed to defy physics. On the Lucky Star's bridge, Sarah Chen watched as the first shots were fired. The Celestial Dream's state-of-the-art shields flared brilliant blue against the alien weapons, then collapsed as if they had never existed. "Energy readings are impossible," Zara reported from her station, fingers dancing across both modern and vintage interfaces. "Their weapons aren't just penetrating shields, they're unmaking them somehow. The Celestial Dream's defensive systems are completely offline." Through the main viewport, Sarah watched the passenger liner list helplessly in space, its elegant hull now scared by the alien attack. The Lucky Star's jury-rigged sensors screamed warnings in 3 different and contradicting tones as one of the alien vessels turned its attention toward them. "Maya," Sarah called to engineering, "please tell me you've figured out what our core is doing." "You're not going to believe this, Captain." Maya's voice carried equal parts excitement and disbelief. "Remember those containment field harmonics I mentioned? They're synchronizing with the alien weapon's energy signatures. It's like our core is trying to sing along." The alien vessel fired. Sarah gripped her chair, expecting either death or miraculous survival. What happened instead defied everyone's expectations. As the alien energy weapon struck the Lucky Star's shields, really more of a modified atmospheric containment field than proper military-grade protection, the entire ship hummed like a tuning fork. "That's impossible," James whispered from his station. But the sensor readings didn't lie. The Lucky Star's makeshift shields hadn't just survived the hit, they had absorbed it. "Maya," Sarah demanded. "The core is adapting." Maya's voice was almost giddy with scientific excitement. "All those weird modifications we've made over the years, all those salvaged parts speaking different languages to each other, they've created some kind of technological ecosystem. The ship is learning, Captain. It's actually learning." The alien vessel fired again, apparently as confused by the Lucky Star's survival as its crew was. This time, Sarah felt the difference. The ship's vibration changed tone, becoming more harmonious. On her display, she watched as power readings stabilized and then, impossibly, began to improve. "They're targeting the Celestial Dream again," Zora reported urgently. "Their weapons are charging for what looks like a killing blow." Sarah made a decision. "Maya, can we extend our shields around the liner?" "Our what?" "Captain, we barely understand what's happening to our own systems." "But if it works, it works," Sarah insisted. "Route emergency power to the containment field generators. James, get us between those aliens and the Celestial Dream. Zara, open a channel to Captain Reynolds." The Lucky Star moved with surprising agility for a cargo vessel, its elderly engines protesting but responding. They slipped into position just as the alien vessel fired again. This time, when the energy weapons struck their shields, something new happened. "Captain." Maya's voice held wonder. The core isn't just absorbing the energy anymore. It's redistributing it through our systems. The containment field is extending, just like you wanted. But it's different. Through the viewport, Sarah watched as a shimmering field of energy expanded from the Lucky Star, enveloping the stricken liner. Where the Lucky Star's original shields had been a patchwork of modified technology, this new field moved with the same fluid grace as the alien vessels themselves. Captain Reynolds' face appeared on the main screen, his earlier condescension replaced by astonishment. "Lucky Star, how are you doing this?" "To be honest, Captain," Sarah replied, "we're not entirely sure. But right now, I suggest you get your engines back online while we have this advantage. We may not understand what's happening, but we're not going to waste it." The alien vessels regrouped, their formation shifting like schools of fish in space. Their next attack came from multiple vectors, energy weapons firing in complex patterns. But with each hit, the Lucky Star's hybrid systems adapted further. The ship's core pulsed with borrowed power, turning the cargo vessel's jury-rigged modifications into something entirely new. "More ships dropping out of FTL," Zora announced. "It's the fleet. 3 destroyers and the battleship Hyperion." The relief on the bridge was palpable but short-lived. The alien weapons struck the newly arrived fleet vessels with devastating effect, their advanced shields proving no more effective than the celestial dreams had been. Within moments, the pride of humanity's space force was in serious trouble. Getting a priority signal from the Hyperion, James reported. "They're ordering all civilian vessels to retreat immediately." Sarah looked at her crew, seeing in their faces the same determination she felt. The Lucky Star had never been good at following orders, and now was not the time to start. "Send them our sensor data," she commanded. "Show them what our systems are doing with the alien weapons. Maya, I need options. We've learned to defend against these attacks. Now I want to know if we can do more." As the battle raged around them, the Lucky Star continued its impossible evolution. Each alien attack taught its hybrid systems more, pushing the boundaries of what should have been possible with its cobbled-together technology. Sarah Chen had spent years defending her ship's peculiarities. Now those same quirks might be humanity's best hope for survival. In engineering, Maya watched in amazement as new energy patterns formed in the core, patterns that seemed to mirror the alien weapons themselves. The Lucky Star wasn't just learning to defend, it was learning to fight back. Maya Rodriguez stood in the Lucky Star's engine room, surrounded by holographic displays showing impossible energy patterns. The ship's core pulsed with an otherworldly glow, its rhythms somehow matching the alien fleet's weapon signatures. She'd never seen anything like it in 20 years of engineering work, yet somehow it felt familiar. "Talk to me, Maya." Sarah's voice came through the comm. "What exactly are we dealing with?" Maya gestured at her displays, even though she knew the captain couldn't see them. "It's like we accidentally built a universal translator for energy patterns. All those mismatched parts we've installed over the years, they're not just working together anymore. They're creating something new." On the bridge, Sarah watched as another alien vessel fired at the Lucky Star. The shot was absorbed seamlessly now, their shields adapting with each attack. But the Hyperion and its destroyer escorts weren't faring as well. Their advanced military-grade shields continued to fail against the alien weapons. "The Hyperion's starboard batteries are down," Zara reported from her station. "Their shield generators are critical. 2 of the destroyers are reporting multiple hull breaches." Sarah leaned forward in her chair. "Maya, can you explain why our cobbled-together defenses work when the fleet's best shields don't?" "That's just it, Captain," Maya replied, excitement creeping into her voice. "Modern shields are too perfect. They're designed to be uniform, consistent, predictable. Ours are, well, they're a mess. But they're an adaptive mess. Every part speaks a slightly different language, so the whole system had to learn to translate between them. When the alien weapons hit us, our shields don't try to block them. They try to understand them." James turned from his station. "Like an immune system." "Exactly," Maya exclaimed. Biological immune systems work because they can recognize and adapt to new threats. Our ship's systems have been doing that for years, just to keep themselves running. Now they're applying that same principle to the alien weapons. A new alarm blared as the alien fleet launched another coordinated attack. The Hyperion's shields failed completely, and escape pods began launching from the mighty battleship. "We've got to do something," Sarah muttered. Then louder, "Maya, you said our systems are learning to understand their weapons. Can we do more than just defend against them?" There was a pause before Maya responded. "Maybe. The core isn't just absorbing their energy anymore. It's replicating the patterns. But our weapon systems aren't designed to handle this kind of power." "What about the cargo loading beams?" Sarah suggested. "They're already designed to project energy fields, just on a smaller scale." That's crazy enough to work," Maya replied. "Give me 5 minutes to reconfigure the loading mechanisms. But Captain, this is completely untested. We could blow ourselves up." Sarah watched another destroyer's shields fail. Better than watching the fleet get torn apart. "Do it." The next few minutes were tense as Maya and her engineering team worked to modify the cargo systems. The Lucky Star's core hummed with increasing power, its hybrid nature allowing it to channel energies that should have torn it apart. "Ready for an attempt," Maya finally reported. "But Captain, you should know. The core is doing something else now. It's not just learning their weapon patterns, it's improving them." Sarah straightened in her chair. "Improving how?" "Their weapons are efficient, but rigid. Our systems are teaching them flexibility. If this works, we might be able to do things they never considered possible." "Target the nearest alien vessel," Sarah ordered. "Let's show them what human ingenuity can do." The Lucky Star's modified cargo beam lanced out, carrying the adapted alien energy patterns. But where the original weapons had been straightforward attacks, this version twisted and curved through space, bypassing the alien vessel's defenses completely. The effect was immediate and dramatic. The alien ship's own energy fields collapsed, leaving it vulnerable. "Direct hit," Zora announced. "Their defensive systems are offline. The Hyperion's weapons are having an effect now." Maya's voice held a note of triumph. "The core's doing even more than we thought. It's not just copying their weapons, it's evolving them. Each adaptation creates new possibilities they never programmed for. Their technology is advanced, but it's inflexible. Ours is crude, but it can change and grow. Like comparing an orchestra to a jazz band," Sarah mused. "They're playing perfect notes, but we're improvising." The alien fleet's formation shifted, perhaps recognizing for the first time that they faced a genuine threat. Their next attack was more cautious, probing rather than overwhelming. "They're adapting too," James warned. "Good," Sarah replied. "Maya, keep pushing our systems. They might learn from each engagement, but so do we. And we've had a lot more practice at making things work that shouldn't." As the battle continued, the Lucky Star's hybrid systems continued to evolve, each exchange with the alien fleet teaching it new tricks. The cargo hauler that had been mocked as outdated and unsafe was becoming something entirely new. A ship that could not only understand advanced alien technology, but improve upon it. In engineering, Maya watched with growing excitement as the core's energy patterns became increasingly complex. The Lucky Star wasn't just surviving anymore. It was thriving on the challenge. And somewhere in the chaos of battle, she realized they had stumbled upon something revolutionary, a way to make technology that could truly learn and grow. The Lucky Star's bridge was crowded with fleet officers, their pristine uniforms contrasting sharply with the ship's worn interior. Admiral Chen, no relation to Sarah, stood before the main display, watching recordings of the cargo vessel's impossible performance against the alien fleet. "You're telling me," the Admiral said slowly, "that this civilian cargo hauler, with its jury-rigged systems and safety violations, has managed to do what our most advanced warships cannot?" Sarah met his gaze steadily. "Sir, what you call safety violations we call adaptability. The Lucky Star systems aren't just functioning, they're evolving. Maya, show him the core readings. Maya's holographic display filled the bridge, showing the complex energy patterns their ship had developed. Every engagement teaches our systems something new, she explained. The aliens' technology is powerful but rigid. Ours is flexible because it had to be. We've spent years making incompatible systems work together. Now that experience is our greatest asset. The Admiral studied the data, his expression shifting from skepticism to cautious interest. And you believe you can replicate this effect? Not exactly, Maya replied. We can't copy our setup directly. It's too complex, too random. But we can teach other ships to learn like we do. The principle is simple. Introduce controlled chaos into their systems. Make them adapt. A new alert cut through the discussion. Multiple contacts. Zara announced. The alien fleet is back, and they've brought reinforcements, counting 30 vessels, larger than anything we've seen before. The Admiral moved to leave. I need to get back to the Hyperion. Captain Chen, whatever you're planning. Sir, Sarah interrupted. The Hyperion's shields still can't stand against their weapons. Stay here. Let us show you what the Lucky Star can really do. The alien fleet emerged from FTL like a school of predatory fish, their hulls rippling with new patterns of energy. They had clearly learned from their last encounter and adapted their approach. They're attacking in synchronized waves, James reported, trying to overwhelm our adaptive capabilities. Sarah smiled. They still don't understand. Maya, initiate Protocol Jazz. Protocol Jazz, the Admiral questioned. Because we're about to improvise, Sarah explained. Maya, full power to the modified cargo beams. Zara, plot firing solutions that utilize the new harmonics. James, get us in close. They're expecting us to stay back and defend. Let's surprise them. The Lucky Star surged forward, its elderly engines pushing past their rated limits. The alien fleet's coordinated attack faltered for a moment, perhaps confused by the cargo ship's aggressive approach. Now, Sarah ordered. The Lucky Star's cargo beams lanced out, carrying evolved versions of the alien weapon's energy patterns. But instead of attacking directly, the beams split and danced through space, creating complex interference patterns. Where they intersected, the alien ship's energy fields began to resonate unpredictably. Their shields are destabilizing, Zara reported. The pattern is working. This is impossible, the Admiral whispered, watching as the mighty alien vessels began to struggle against the Lucky Star's assault. Maya's voice came through with excitement. Captain, the core is showing new patterns. It's not just learning from their attacks anymore. It's predicting them. We can see what they're going to do before they do it. Sarah leaned forward. Send targeting data to the fleet. Show them where to hit. She turned to the Admiral. Sir, your ships may not be able to adapt like we can, but they still pack one hell of a punch. Let us create the openings. Your crews can deliver the knockout blows. The Admiral nodded, quickly sending orders to the fleet. The human vessels moved into position, letting the Lucky Star lead the charge. With each exchange, the cargo ship's systems grew more sophisticated, turning the aliens' own energy patterns against them in increasingly creative ways. They're pulling back, James announced, regrouping at the edge of the system. They're not retreating, Sarah observed. They're analyzing, adapting, just like we do. She turned to Maya's holographic presence. What's our status? The core is operating beyond anything I thought possible, Maya replied. Every system on the ship is contributing to the evolution now. The cargo beams, the life support, even the coffee maker in the mess hall. They're all part of one learning network. The Admiral watched as new tactical data flowed across the displays. You've created something revolutionary here, Captain. Not just a weapon, but a new way of thinking about technology itself. Sarah shook her head. With respect, Admiral, we didn't create this intentionally. The Lucky Star became what it is because we had no choice but to adapt. Every broken part we couldn't afford to replace. Every system we had to modify to keep running. They all taught us and our ship the same lesson. Survival means evolution. The alien fleet began to move again, their formation now mimicking the Lucky Star's unpredictable patterns. They were learning, adapting to humanity's improvisational style. "Good," Sarah said, surprising the Admiral. "The more they try to copy us, the more they prove our point. Perfect systems are predictable. Imperfect ones, they can always surprise you." She turned to her crew. "Let's show them what else this old garbage SCO can do." As the Lucky Star prepared for another engagement, Sarah Chen reflected on how fitting it was that humanity's best defense against an overwhelmingly superior force had come not from careful planning and advanced technology, but from necessity, adaptation, and the stubborn refusal to accept limitations. The real strength of the human spirit, she realized, wasn't in achieving perfection. It was in finding ways to turn imperfection into advantage. The alien mothership emerged from FTL like a leviathan breaking the surface of a cosmic ocean. Its hull dwarfed even the largest human battleships, rippling with energy patterns that made the Lucky Star sensors cry out in alarm. On the bridge, Sarah Chen watched as the massive vessel took position at the head of the alien fleet. "They're transmitting," Zara announced. "All frequencies." A voice filled the bridge, resonating with harmonics that seemed to vibrate through the ship itself. "Humans, your resistance is unexpected. You have shown adaptation beyond your technological level. This anomaly must be studied. Surrender your vessel, and your lives will be preserved." Sarah glanced at Admiral Chen, who had remained aboard the Lucky Star after witnessing its capabilities. He nodded grimly. "Your ship, your call, Captain." "Maya," Sarah called to engineering. "What's the core telling you?" "Everything, Captain," Maya replied, her voice filled with wonder. "Their mothership, it's like looking at a perfect version of what we accidentally created. Their systems are crystalline, precise, beautiful, but rigid. They can't handle variables they haven't predicted." Sarah smiled. "And we're nothing but variables." She opened a channel to the alien vessel. "This is Captain Chen of the Lucky Star. We appreciate your offer, but we'll have to decline. You see, you've made a fundamental mistake in understanding humans." "Explain," the alien voice commanded. "You see perfection as strength. We see it as limitation. Your technology is amazing, but it can only do what it's designed to do. Ours." She gestured to her crew. "Zara, show them what our sensors have learned about their command and control patterns." The Lucky Star's hybrid sensors pulsed, sending out waves of energy that interfaced with the alien fleet's communications. Their perfectly synchronized formations wavered as the cargo ship's chaotic but adaptive systems introduced random variables into their network. "James, take us in close, right where they don't expect a rational being to go." The Lucky Star surged forward, diving between the massive alien vessels. Its modified cargo beams lashed out, not attacking directly but creating interference patterns that forced the alien ship's perfect systems to adapt to situations they were never designed for. "Their formation is breaking down," Zara reported. "The randomness in our attack patterns is causing cascade failures in their targeting systems." Maya's voice cut through the chaos. "Captain, the core is showing something new. Their mothership. It's trying to impose order on their fleet's systems, force them back into predictable patterns. If we can disrupt that..." "Admiral," Sarah turned to the fleet commander, "have your ships target these coordinates. Hit them with everything you've got, but make it messy. Random firing patterns, varying weapon yields. Don't let them predict anything." The human fleet opened fire, their attacks seemingly chaotic, but guided by the Lucky Star's evolved sensors. Where once their weapons had been useless against alien shields, now they found purchase in the gaps created by unpredictability. The alien mothership responded with overwhelming force, its energy weapons far more powerful than anything they'd faced before. But the Lucky Star's systems had been learning, evolving with every encounter. Its shields didn't just absorb the attack. They transformed it, redirecting the energy in ways that even the aliens couldn't predict. Their adaptive algorithms are failing, Maya announced. They can't compute responses fast enough to handle our random variations. Captain, I think we've introduced too many variables for their perfect systems to process. The alien voice returned, but now it carried notes of confusion. This is impossible. Your technology is inferior. Your methods are chaotic. You cannot. That's exactly why we can. Sarah interrupted. Maya, remember that power surge we could never fix in the auxiliary systems. The one that randomly redistributes energy through the ship. The one we turned into a feature instead of a bug. Already on it, Captain. The Lucky Star's systems surged with power, deliberately triggering the very instabilities its crew had spent years learning to work with. The ship became a beacon of controlled chaos, broadcasting patterns that drove the aliens' perfect systems into confusion. Now, Admiral, Sarah called. While their systems are trying to process impossible variables, the human fleet struck as one, their weapons guided by the Lucky Star's insights. The alien mothership's shields, designed to handle any predictable attack, began to fail against the assault of organized chaos. They're retreating, Zara announced as the alien fleet began to break formation. Their command and control network is completely disrupted. They can't maintain their synchronized patterns. The alien mothership's voice came through once more, but now it sounded different, almost uncertain. How? Your methods defy logic. Your systems should not function. Sarah stood from her captain's chair. That's humanity's secret. We don't succeed because our solutions are perfect. We succeed because we learn to work with imperfection. Every flaw becomes a feature. Every bug becomes a capability. We adapt, we improvise, and we overcome. The alien fleet vanished into FTL, leaving behind a battlefield that proved humanity's greatest strength. The ability to turn disadvantage into advantage, to find power in imperfection, and to never, ever give up. Admiral Chen turned to Sarah. Captain, I believe the fleet needs to seriously reconsider its approach to ship design and crew training. Perhaps it's time we stop trying to eliminate chaos and learn to embrace it instead. Sarah looked around at her crew. At Maya's jury-rigged engineering solutions, at Zara's hybrid sensor arrays, at James's intuitive navigation style. The Lucky Star had never been the most powerful ship, the most advanced, or the most prestigious. But it had been exactly what humanity needed, a testament to the power of adaptation, improvisation, and the stubborn refusal to accept limitations. Admiral, she replied with a smile, I think the aliens just taught us all a valuable lesson. Sometimes the best weapons aren't the ones you design for perfection. They're the ones that evolve through necessity. After all, that's the human way. The Lucky Star's core pulsed with its familiar irregular rhythm, its hybrid systems continuing to evolve and adapt. The ship that had once been mocked as the fleet's weakness had become something entirely new, a symbol of humanity's greatest strength, the power to turn imperfection into advantage.